island from mainland anywhere, or something to that effect. In other words, it's floating off in the middle of nowhere. And until just a few years ago, when they put in a very small airstrip, there was only one way to get here from Tahiti, from the main island, and that was on a cargo ship called the Aranui. And it would take 2 weeks to get there and back. And they would use it to deliver medical goods and concrete and last month's newspapers and toothpaste. I mean, everything. It was their only connection with the real world. Well, the Aranui found out they had a good thing going. So they put in a few cabins, and then they put in a few more, and then they put in a few more. And now it still serves as the lifeline of these islands to the main island of Tahiti. But it also takes about, 40, 50 paying passengers. Very modest cabins, but the experience is something that's worth $1 million. Most American tourists just go to the Society Islands, which is Bora Bora, Moorea, etc. They are out of this world expensive. They are out of this world, period. They are so beautiful. You can get packages, and it's not all that expensive. There are direct flights from either New York or LA or both. It's much more accessible than it used to be, but it's still not the Bahamas. But the physical beauty here, I think, is very Bali high. It's very South Pacific James Michener. It's everything you've ever seen on every glossy tourist poster. In the Marquesas, the people are covered with tattoos. Captain Cook saw these people covered with really original, creative, geometric, artistic body art that was adopted by his sailors and brought back to, thank you, Captain Cook, brought back to our world, and it has kind of infiltrated the globe as a result. But they're lovely people. They welcome the boat dancing and singing. French Polynesia is a great honeymoon destination. You can imagine why. And those over-the-water bungalows were kind of created for the first time in French Polynesia and then spread through just about everywhere. And here we are in Quebec is here. There they are. What a beautiful city. I went.
Oh, my great-grandfather was born.
Quebec is in Canada.
Yay.
Hey, you don't know. Did you know that 30% of Americans between the ages, obviously not anybody who comes to a travel show, but this is always a frightening statistic, 30% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 33, so we're talking people who should know, okay, cannot find America on a world map. Yep. So if you don't know that Quebec is in eastern Canada, so I'm just saying. My first visit to Quebec, I was 12 years old, and I was fascinated that they spoke a foreign language. So until I went back about 15 years later, I just assumed that all of Canada spoke French. We know, of course, right, that they don't. It is one of the most special cities, and you used to be able to say that you got this whole French experience without having to have a passport and without the jet lag, etc. Well, the jet lag part still holds. You now need a passport. It celebrated its 400th anniversary just last year or the year before. It still has that wonderful joie de vivre, sitting out in the cafes, a very continental lifestyle. It is the only walled city in North America and the only one north of Havana, Cuba. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. All of eastern Canada. It's a magnificent country, and tourism there is consistently and surprisingly low. And nobody really knows why. My belief is that when you do want to do the big trip, you want to go east to Europe, south to South America perhaps, west to Bali or whatever, but you don't want to spend the time and the energy going to what may feel like it's in our backyard when in fact the experience is so entirely different. All of Eastern Europe, all of the maritime provinces, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Newfoundland. Who knew? Newfoundland is magnificent. You can take the national train from East Coast to West Coast through the Canadian Rockies. Everyone says the Canadian Rockies are more beautiful than the U.S. Rockies, and I don't know. I think you should go and find out. We saw, of course, all of British Columbia and Alberta during these recent Winter Olympics. And then floating off the western coast is Vancouver Island. It's a magnificent country with incredible parks. Banff is their first park, their most visited park, as beautiful as our parks. I'm skipping, and how sad is this, all of the U.S., because that's a whole other kettle of fish. I also wrote a book called 1,000 Places to See in the USA and Canada, just in the event that you get to see all of the 1,000 places around the world.